problem. Awesome. So both of my parents are islanders. My mom was from St. Michael Azores, which are Portuguese islands off the west coast of Portugal. And my dad is from Brava, Cape Verde, which are islands off the west coast of Africa. So wow. I'm first generation born here, and the oldest in my family. So a lot of pressure, no pressure, a lot of pressure. Everyone, and no one spoke the language. So, and English was actually like my third language. And I remember from a very young age, even, having to go to the hospital. My grandfather had a heart attack and I had to be the one to go to the hospital, like at the age of 5, maybe, I don't remember, but I was really, really young. But, I was like the translator for the family. And so a lot of responsibility fell on me, with being the oldest of 4 kids, and both of my parents worked. We didn't have a lot of money, but my parents knew how to save their pennies. They, bought, they had rental properties. So we had a really strong foundation, a big extended family. My grandparents helped raise us, and we were surrounded by cousins all the time. I think from a very young age, we learned to give back. My family, my parents would always take in any relatives that would come from, the old country, or we would always put together bins, and we would, fill them with clothing and food and send stuff back. And my mom would was always helping friends. And I think that it kind of set the tone. Like, we saw that giving back is a good thing, and that you always want to take care of those in need, and just not expect anything in return. Because, we would send things off to the islands knowing that never expected them to send anything back, but we knew that we were helping, and we knew that they could benefit from what we were sending, whether it was our hand-me-downs or new stuff that we would buy to send. We knew that we wanted to help those because we were doing better, maybe not, we weren't rich, but compared to our family in the islands, we were much better off than they were. My dad, his island is still very much third world. It's one of the smallest of the islands. And, there are some islands there that have like resorts on them and are, visited often and in touristy, where he was from it's not, and you have to kind of almost take a rowboat to get there. But it's very humbling, and for me, no matter where we are, like, I always think back to where I came from, and I'm very much that person. Like, I'm always helping my friends, I'm always the go-to. Like, if you're in trouble, you know who you can call. Linda's always available, even though she has a million things on her plate, that she will stop what she's doing to help however she can. And, gets me in trouble a lot of times with my husband, but it's
you and me both.
I don't know. It just, for me, it's who I am, and I don't know how to change that about me, nor do I think I would want to, because, whether, you get burns sometimes, but it's still, the burn is never enough to where I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah. My husband always says, because like you talk about the burn, because it happens and some people take full advantage of it. Mm-hmm. But I get a lot of wisdom from my grandmother, and my grandmother always said, whatever you put out there comes back around to you 10 times. And I never really understood that as a child until as an adult, I experienced it, where I put out something and then eventually, blessings start coming to me. And so I'm like, that's why she always said that. And nothing really makes sense until you are in it, right? Mm-hmm. With the wisdom that, whether it's your grandmother, whether it's a mentor, a teacher, whatever it is, when you're a child, you don't know a lot of life yet. And And so my husband tells me this, like, no good deed goes unpunished, which is such an oxymoron, because you're doing a good deed, but yet you're being punished. And I get it, because I've experienced it where people take full advantage, just takers. I mean, there's a lot of takers on this planet.
I agree.
But I don't exist for them. I exist for the ones that are the right people. And I just might come back to that, because I've been burnt before too, is that I tell my husband, you're right, it's true, but it's also wrong if it falls on the right human. Because I've also experienced that when my good deed falls on the right human, that's when it comes back 10 times. And it's worth every burn that I've experienced. So, I'm not going to allow one thing or two things or two nasty humans to stop me from doing the good in this world, from delivering my message to this world. Because if it only impacts one person, then my job is done. And I always say that, like, if I make a post and it takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it takes me to come up and design this post on social media, I don't care how many likes I get. I don't care how many comments I get. I just care that if it only impacts one person, that it was worth it, right? And the same thing with the podcast. Like, my husband says, why do you do this podcast? Like, yes, it's probably amazing, because he's never really listened to it. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's amazing, and it's healing me with all of my issues, because we all have issues. And it's making me feel so fulfilled to be able to hear women and moms and really understand who they are. Like, there's no better reward than something that cannot be measured with money. And so I agree with you with everything that you're doing. And that's why I just love everything that you're doing, because it's actually, it's different than a lot of the moms that I've had on this space in my podcast, because I've never had someone that it has a nonprofit. Neither have I had a mom that is a special needs mom, that is a mom of a special needs child. So this is a very special episode, because it's makes me smile a lot to meet you and to hear what floats your boat and what is it that you love to do and what's your passion, because I could see just through the screen and the way that you talk, you have a lot of passion. And I just actually learned this, that passion comes or roots from the word suffering, and suffering in Latin. So if you find where it came from, it comes from a Latin word that I don't know what it is, but it means suffering. And that's where the passion word comes from. Because I think we don't create passion unless we've experienced something struggling, adversity. And that's why I always call adversity as a gift. And again, it's another oxymoron statement to say, but it teaches you a lot to make you either the worst person on the planet Earth, or if you are in your right mind and a right mindset, the person that will take an adversity into something to do good on this planet. So there's a lot in this episode that I am going to be so excited to re-listen to, because that's what I do, is I re-listen to every single one of my episode. And every episode, I design the title based on my conversation with someone, whether the title is coming out of your mouth or it is the one thing that is my takeaway. So it can be like verbatim is coming out of some of my guests' statement, or it could be something that I created is because it's my one takeaway, and then I just capture the title. It's been an amazing ride. So I am so thankful that you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Like, it's been wonderful talking to you and just being able to share, and, thank you for opening up the space to us moms to know that, like, we're not alone, and we're not the only ones doing this and juggling 150 million things, and, still finding time to do stuff for our kids and not lose ourselves, which, you know, I felt like I was lost for a really long time, you know.
Why do you feel lost for a very long time? What was it about in your life that made you feel that way?
Well, I mean, you know, first, I was really young when I had Janai. I was 22. I turned 23 maybe 2 or 3 weeks after having her.
Mhm.
And, you know, it didn't slow me down because luckily at that time I was surrounded by family. So I had family to help me. And we didn't know the severity of her disability until she was a little older. But, you know, I worked and I was, you know, graduated college and I had a vision and I was, you know, I had a career and, you know, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with my degree, but I knew that I was destined for something. But you know, and then as, you know, she progressed and we found out that she needed therapy and things like that. You know, my jobs needed to be closer to home and what I was doing. And, but I always found myself gravitating to careers that were in helping people. I worked at a private college and I was a counselor and did things like that. And that allowed me to stay close to her for therapy. Then my husband wanted to be an actor. So, you know, it also allowed me to work so that he could pursue his passion and go on auditions. And we were in Massachusetts, and then he finally got an agent in New York and was doing that commute, which was challenging. But like I said, we had family. So it wasn't, and when she was younger, it was easier because she was little and easy to carry. And but then at the age of 5, we moved here. I still worked while he auditioned. You know, we had to have money coming in. And but then when she turned 8, I got pregnant with baby number 2. And then things got a little bit more complicated and he started working full time. So and then 9 months later, I was pregnant with baby number 3, which was unexpected. So then I was like, okay, looks like I can't work. I've got 3 kids in diapers right now. That's just not happening. So for me, I guess just feeling trapped, like knowing that, you know, okay, I love my babies. I love my kids with all my heart. But I didn't, you know, I didn't grow up in a home where my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She worked. I never saw myself as a stay-at-home mom. Not that I couldn't be, but like I just had so many hopes and dreams, and I'm so ambitious, and I'm so social. So being home with babies and baby talk and not seeing adults for a really long time was a real challenge for me. And so it wasn't until I want to say like 5 years ago now where I really was able to kind of start. For forever I've been writing ideas as far as journaling. Like whenever we would hit a bump in the road and Janai would need something and we couldn't get it, or we couldn't find what she needed, or she wasn't getting the therapy she needs. And I'd be like, you know what would be really great right now is if I could do, you know, if we had this, if only this existed. And I just kept writing down all of my ideas of what would be the perfect solution to all these problems that we were coming about. And you know, and then 5 years ago, I started Inclusion Clubhouse. And, you know, we started with her Sweet 16, actually 6 years ago now. And we started with that. And it's been history since then. I mean, we're nowhere near where I want to be. Definitely, we still have a lot of ways to go to raise money to open up our Inclusion Clubhouse because my vision is so big. And it's crazy because I was taking a leadership course, and we were talking about the difference between vision and mission. And like and they like really made me see that your vision is usually much bigger, you know, and I was able to say like my vision really is to inspire and empower families of children with special needs globally to want to live their best lives, you know, and in however that looks, you know, Inclusion Clubhouse is just a piece of that vision, you know, giving them the space to be able to do the things to help them grow, you know, everything from when they're little to adults who need jobs. You know, the center would be a space for them to feel safe, to see all of that happen, you know. And I was like, you know, I wanted to open a boutique. Well, it's called Janai's Angels. And my goal was to open up a boutique where we could offer adaptable clothing and toys and like basically like a special needs shop for families with kids with special needs, but that everybody would want to shop at because everything is just so cool. It's so much cooler than, you know, your regular stuff. And then, you know, even like an airline that's adaptable for families because everyone gets annoyed when we bring our crying babies and our screaming kids on a plane. Wouldn't it be awesome if there was an airline that was just dedicated to families? I was like, then that way first class and business wouldn't get so frustrated. But you know, it's just so big to the impact that we could have on the world. And like, I just think people just need to be exposed to our kids. For years, I just feel like they're kind of been like hidden, you know, and now you're starting to see more. You're starting to see more kids with autism. You're starting to see more kids with Down syndrome and in wheelchairs. And, you know, I think that the world needs to reflect our reality more.
Okay, there's a lot here. I'm going to stop you right now. So I've seen in LinkedIn, because I'm on LinkedIn a lot, there's a first ever autistic child that just became a lawyer, and makes me smile.
That's amazing.
Yes. And so I love your integration from your dreams, because you may have a pocket that you were sort of lost, but you found yourself right away through your child. And even though you have this challenge of a challenging child, you didn't take the challenge as a challenge. You took it as really a tool for you to integrate your dreams. And you didn't, like, for most people, they would have quit. Their fire would have been out. Your fire actually came out and was magnified because of the child that you have. And maybe you don't realize that, but I want you to know that that's really what's happening as you're telling your story, is instead of your fire being put out and discouraged, use your fire to find those problems in every step of the way of your journey. And you documented it. And that's the most important piece right here, is that you documented it, and you aspire to solve every problem you have. And this is what makes you different from a lot of people. And I'm so happy that I met you, because your message and your vision needs to be heard. And this is what I love. I always say my favorite wonder of the world is the unknown. Is I wonder who's listening on the other side. And this is what's cool about a podcast, because we never know who is on the other side. I've had over 10,000 downloads now, and you just never know where you're going to get your funding from. You just never know where you're going to get. We're here today for a purpose, and the purpose may not surface right now, may not surface in a week, may not surface in a month, but I'm telling you, the ripple effect of what you're doing, it's going to make the purpose of us talking today is going to surface somehow, some way, somewhere, because of the energy you and I are sending out there. And it's the ripple of you and I coming together, collaborating. And I'm talking right now and she's crying. And
I know. I'm like trying not to. I'm like, oh.
But I'm just like blown away by your fire, because like I said, a lot of us, even like me, I would have probably given up, and you haven't, and you've integrated it in you're even more on fire than ever before. So kudos to you, sister. Now,
thank you.
Since we're going to be in our 15 minutes soon, I just want to make sure that I get this question to you. When do you feel the most love?
Oh, goodness. You know what? That's a tough one. I mean, I feel.
Because you always give love. It's a hard question.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I get a hug from my kids, like, Janai, I know, like, we have this connection that is just insane. So I always feel her love all the time. And just my kids. Any of our events, just when I'm in that space with other parents and kids with special needs, like, I really feel it. I feel it all the time. So I think that I feel love from others so much more than I do for myself. You know, I know that they say, like, it starts from within, you know, and it's crazy to say, but now that you've made me actually think about it, the truth is that I feel so much more love from everyone else. And probably my biggest struggle is, you know, loving myself enough to put myself first. But I definitely feel the love. I feel the love from my kids, my husband, my friends, my family, strangers who I meet for the first time at anything that I do. I feel it, and I feel like it's, you know, I know I get, like you said, I give a lot of love, and I don't have, that's one problem I don't have. I don't, you know, whether I'm meeting you for the first time or we've met 100 times, there's always love. And, you know, and my problem is I have a hard time staying mad at people. Like,
that's a good problem to have.
I forgive easy. I don't hold grudges.
But that's not a problem. That's how we were created.
Yeah.
We're created to love. We weren't created to be mad at people. There's a saying that says, don't be angry to the people that hate you.
Yeah.
You know, because
they probably just need love.
Exactly. And the more you do that, the less hate you're going to get. What are your other kids' names? I know Janae, because
Janai is the oldest, and then Jada is 12. Jordan is 10. He'll be 11 in April. And then Julian is the baby, and he's 3.
That's awesome. If your kids were listening to you right now, all of them, because technology will get to them.
Right.
What would your message be to all of them, as in general, as their mom?
Just that, you know, everything I do for them because I love them.
That's amazing. You're an amazing mama. Do you know that?
Thank you.
What message, your mom is still with you around?
Well, yeah, they're back east, my parents.
What message would you give your mom? You should share this episode to your mama.
I will, because now she has an iPad.
That's awesome.
And she's on. I would have to say, like, you know, thank you, and that I love her. And, you know, I'm learning as I get older that I have so much of her. And we didn't always get along. We actually fought a lot. And that, like, the older I get, the more I realize, you know, how much was for my own good. You know, as kids, we like to rebel and we think we know best. And
so we become mom.
Yeah, until we become mom. And it's so funny because as a kid, she used to tell me, she used to be like, you know, I don't hope that you have any, like, bad kids or anything like that. She's like, I just wish and hope that one day you have a child that is just like you. That's it, just like you. I want you to have one, just one that is just like you so that you can understand what I'm going through.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it happened. I have one. My 12-year-old is my mini me. As much as I complain, like I sometimes have to step back and be like, oh, I remember that stage. I remember that phase. I remember being that girl,
That's awesome.
And, but it truly is one of those things. It's like, you don't understand until you're in those shoes.
Yeah.
And,
that's crazy. Well, that's awesome. Well, first, I want to commend you for everything that you're doing. I mean, I think I've been commending you all throughout the podcast because I'm so blown away by just your drive and your fire and overcoming. You really have. It's really not about overcoming because it's not a problem, but almost like gracefully dancing with whatever it is you have to deal with, and you're making it better for other families because of the encounter that you've had, which are some issues. It would be nice to have this for this family. It'd be nice. And you're documenting it, which was so awesome. So I want to commend you for all that. Before I ask my last question, I know you have a 501(c) nonprofit organization. So we would love to hear, and I'll add it to the podcast notes, where we can find your nonprofit, Inclusion Clubhouse, where we can find you on Facebook, Instagram, if you have any of those, and where do you usually hang out on social media, and all the information that our listeners can track you down. Please feel free to let us know.
Absolutely. Well, you can check out our website at www.inclusionclubhouse.org. So that's an easy one to remember. You can also check out Inclusion Clubhouse on all our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as myself. I'm at Linda Baptista Hall. So you can either find me through Inclusion Clubhouse or directly at Linda Baptista Hall via Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter as well.
Awesome. Last question before we go. What is your definition, Linda Hall's definition of the word mother hustler?
Mother hustler. A mother who is always on the go between doing things for her kids, taking care of her family and her home, as well as herself and her purpose and her vision in life, whether it's career or just her passion. She knows how to dance the dance, and keep it equal. And there'll be days where you're more of a hustler than a mom, but we know how to do that dance and weigh those scales, and sometimes we make it look easy.
Yes. Sometimes it's a mom fail. Hashtag mom fail.
Yeah, that too. Sometimes it's an epic mom fail.
Wow.
Those days.
Thank you, sister. You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great talking to you.